Can the Steelers really be the kings of the North? What's going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video. And today we're going to be doing our deep dive and records predictions for 2023 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, my Pittsburgh Steelers. If you guys have not already seen it, I already put up a Cleveland Browns one, so feel free to check that out. Let's get right into the video. If you guys are not already seeing the pattern, I am going by division, so we're changing it up a little bit, having a little bit more fun that way. Starting off with the offensive depth chart. If you guys are new here, you guys know that I go skilled positions to offensive line, then defensive line back to the defensive backs. So that's going to be the natural progression of this one. Let's start off by talking about the quarterback. Kenny Pickett was awesome last year. He had a really rough start, but that really wasn't his fault. The interceptions that he had, especially that first game, I thought were pretty much not his fault, or not primarily his fault. Regardless, he ended up turning it on down the season, and we were able to see that, well, we finally have some excitement at the quarterback position. It hurts me to say as a Steelers fan because I love Big Ben. We all love Big Ben. But deep down, we knew that this past year, 2 or 3, we could see the decline. And it does hurt. But we also I think we are all kind of ready to move on. And when I saw Kenny get drafted, obviously he was the first quarterback drafted, and then the next one was something like 80 overall. We were like, oh, okay. Well, first off, we were hoping for like Malik Willis, and he was my QB3, Kenny Pickett was. And I'm happy to say so far I've been wrong, but I still think Malik and Sam Howell still could have very bright futures. Regardless, Kenny Pickett has been a hit, and I love that because we are all looking for a little bit of excitement at that quarterback position, and that's exactly what we have. Great to see that there. Running back Najee Harris, he had a really rough year last year. A lot of people were talking about him as one of the most useless backs in the NFL in terms of just making very stupid reads, stupid decisions. And I think he's going to have a bounce back year. That's why I have him listed as my most improved on the year. You have a better offensive line, a better system, and Kenny is going into year 2. So I just think everything's going to be a little bit more polished, going to be less stacked boxes. And, you might have Darnell Washington out there, which we will talk about in a moment. Looking at the wide receivers boundary, we got Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, who are arguably some of the best boundary duos in the NFL. So it's good to see that we're at least ranked in there. And then slot wide receiver, this is according to OurLads.com. This is not my own personal depth chart. This is according to their depth chart. We have Allen Robinson starting in the slot, which is great because we got him pretty much for absolutely nothing. I think it was a 7th round pick swap and a very cheap contract. It was a great deal by us. And then we also have Calvin Austin there, who is going to be that nice little lightning to the thunder of Allen Robinson. So I'm very excited to see that if Calvin Austin can stay healthy. But then offensive line-wise, we have Broderick Jones, who is our first-round selection. Great to see him there. Very consistent, especially now that we have Darnell Washington, who can now line up with him once again. Very excited for that. We also now have an upgrade over Dotson at guard with Isaac Suomalo. That is going to be great because people loved him in Philly. He was an excellent offensive guard there for a very long period of time. And then we even have good depth on the offensive line. Herbig was one dude who was not mentioned there with the backups, but now our backups were our starters last year with Dotson as well as Dan Moore. That's pretty damn awesome. It is awesome to be able to see just an instant upgrade to the offensive line. Mason Cole took a big step up. Love to see that for him. James Daniels has been super consistent. I've loved him since he was drafted by the Bears and was very excited when the Steelers were able to nab him. Then we also have Chuck Okorafor playing right tackle. I think it's one of our weak points. And then tight end, we got Pat Freiermuth. Forgot to mention him. He's a beast. But some other notable backups that we have in there, I think I mentioned all of them. I did. So nice. Good for me. Regardless, based on how everything was set up, I do think our boundary wide receivers, I mentioned it, were some of the best. Quarterback might end up being one of our strong suits as well. Overall, the offensive line looks really good. I do still have some questions whether Chucks is going to end up being that superstar right tackle we need. And in my most recent tackles video for the 2024 draft, which you guys can check out, I did break down a tackle or two that I think the Steelers could definitely use. So definitely check that out to be able to get a little bit more information on what's going to be coming up in the future. But I think our rookie of the year is going to be Broderick Jones. He's just going to be a stud left tackle, very high value position with a very talented player. And we're not having too many starters who are rookies anyway. So pretty easy choice there. Again, Najee, I think, is going to have a bounce back year. And I think Calvin, if he stays healthy, could be absolutely electric. So very excited for that. Next, we have the defense. So I just said we're going to go from the defensive line out And it might not be perfectly laid out. I honestly did this as a nice little way to just visualize somewhat what the defensive line looks like, what the whole entire defense looks like. If it's slightly off, I do apologize for that. Feel free to let me know, of course, 'cause I'm more than fine being able to adjust that. But for the time being, let's not get too serious about it. I just want to be able to have a cool way of describing how the depth chart looks. So we have Patrick Peterson and Joey Porter Jr., which I already said I was going to go there last. We'll go there last. But defensive line-wise, our edges are awesome. Alex Highsmith is probably going to be getting a new contract. 14.5 sacks last year was great. And then TJ Watt needs no introduction. Not going to even talk about him. But defensive line-wise, Larry Ogunjobi, I love that signing. Failed his physical, too. I think he signed with the Bears. Failed his physical and then went to the Steelers and then passed. So, you guys know me. I'm a Bears and Steelers fan. It's a longer story than that. But, it's pretty interesting to see a guy who I really liked for the Bears end up going to the Steelers. I really liked it for the Steelers. Keanu Benton's listed as the starting at nose tackle in our defensive front. I love that. I was a huge fan of that selection. Obviously, I think that he is in the contention for Rookie of the Year, but he might not be as flashy as what we'll talk about in a minute. Cam Hayward is Cam Hayward. He's a dude who's aging like fine wine. Even though he's old, he's still playing at a very, very high level. Very excited for that. I think our linebackers are extremely weak, though. Cole Holcomb, he's honestly pretty damn serviceable. Landon Roberts is the other guy. I think that's where I have a little bit more of an issue, is just being able to have a Landon Roberts there. And I should have been able to label it properly. I believe Cole Holcomb is the Mike and Landon is the Will. So that's on me again. But then safety-wise, we got Keanu Neal, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Keanu's a fun one. I know that we also have DeMonte Casey, who's going to be in the mix there. Strong safety is a position we could certainly look at as an upgrade spot down the line. Terrell Edmonds being gone, not really the most awesome thing in the world because he was also signed for a very cheap contract. But we have arguably one of the best safeties in Minkah Fitzpatrick, which is amazing. And then we have Chandon Sullivan at slot/nickel, which he's listed as a nickel. I think I'm gonna have a little bit of an issue with that one because Cam Sutton was pretty damn good there. And then I believe he kicked out to boundary last year, but you still lost out on Cam Sutton as well as Mike Hilton. We had those two guys there at slot there for a while. And, I think Chandon Sullivan's going to be perfectly fine, but it's a big drop off from, Mike Hilton, then to Cam Sutton, then to that. It's a little bit unfortunate. And then ending off with Patrick Peterson, which was awesome selection. I'm a big fan of that one because you get Joey Porter Jr. And y'all know he's my number 2 player in the draft last year. I think this is an excellent spot for him to go where his dad once played and with an amazing mentor like Patrick Peterson. So I think overall this is going to be awesome. It's honestly really great. We have a really good outside linebacker group because even behind TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, you also have the new guy, Nick Herbig, which I wasn't super high on Herbig until he fell past where I thought he should go. I thought I was low on him. I was higher on him than the NFL was. He's going to be a unique guy to find a place, but luckily he doesn't have to right away. I could see him taking even some inside linebacker reps over Landon Roberts. We'll definitely check out on that one. DeMarvin Leal, another guy I forgot to mention, a really solid player where he just was forced into a role I don't think he was meant to be in there at the end of Texas A&M, because I think as a pure edge rusher, as a pure defensive end, he was really damn solid. And he got kicked as pretty much a nose tackle there and didn't end up working out. So a little bit unfortunate there. Corey Trice, a 7th round pick who fell for injury concerns. Brett Coleman's late 2nd round grade corner ended up going here as well, which is great because we have not had too many great defensive backs in a hot minute. So overall, I think that we have a really damn solid roster. I think DeMarvin Leal could take that step up as well. You have really good talent, which everybody was saying he's a top 10 pick until halfway through the year. And then he fell to us in the 3rd. And now you have the leadership of Cam Hayward as well. I think he could definitely be a beast. Joey Porter Jr. is going to be a freak. I'm a super huge fan of that. It might take a year or 2 for him to actually become super effective, but I think this is the exact situation he needed to be in. Next, we have this schedule, and finally, of course. So do show us some appreciation because putting all this together is not the easiest thing in the world, but I wanted to bring it to you guys anyways. So we're going to break this down right here. I think it looks a little bit better if I'm looking at this rather than that. Who cares? But the Steelers start off versus San Francisco. I'm very low on San Francisco this year. I think if Brock Purdy is not playing, I have no trust in Trey Lance. I'm sorry. That's just who I am. I didn't like him before the draft. Wasn't a huge fan of him anyways with the Niners. And it's just the way it is. People are not going to like my opinion on Trey Lance. I understand that. And when the 49ers video comes up, feel free to rip me a new one. I think Cleveland is, I actually just put up a Cleveland video. You can look at that one. I think Deshaun needs to get off a little bit of rust. Ooh, interesting. So I did send a loss to Cleveland. Huh. Interesting. Okay, well, Cleveland Browns fans are actually going to like that one because they're going to end up being 10-7, and we're going to be tied with them. Regardless, I think we still end up making third in the division because they lost more in division than we did. Regardless. We end up beating Vegas because I don't think that's a big issue. I don't really think it's going to be much for contention there. Houston as well. They're a good team. They have some good bones in there, but they're just not competing against our juggernauts in this league. Baltimore, it's Baltimore, dude. I think Baltimore is just going to be kicking ass. Like, they're just a really damn good team. I have no faith in Los Angeles. I just don't. They lost too much star power. Jacksonville. Again, you're in Pittsburgh. I think that was one of the big determinants. You go and you get beaten by Tennessee because I think that, our linebacker is not too great, and I don't really trust us being able to stop Derrick Henry once he gets to the second level. That's probably the reason why I did that one. Green Bay, they're not as bad as I expected, but we'll see what happens when we do that video. Cleveland actually gave us a win in the Cleveland video, so we're going to do a coin toss on that one, but regardless, it does not change the division ranking. So it is what it is. Cincinnati, I still think, is too damn good of a team. Arizona, it's Arizona. New England, I think that we can definitely beat them, especially if we're in Pittsburgh. Indianapolis, I really do like what Indianapolis is building there. I think they need one more offensive lineman before Anthony Richardson is ready to just unleash, and I think that left tackle spot is a little bit scary to me when you are facing guys like Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith. Like, this division is super loaded. And then, of course, Cincinnati, Seattle, and Baltimore, all super duper tough games. So even with me actually going against what I did in the Browns video, which let's keep this our secret, but I actually had this one. I did this one first. So technically the Browns should have a better record, but it's okay. Regardless, we're still third in the division and end up being seventh in the conference, just sneaking into the playoffs, which I just don't think that we have as much firepower as the AFC. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys on the far side.